Hi, I'm Simon. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Hockify. And yeah, just one word about Hockify. Hockify is a mobile job marketplace where you can apply for jobs easily on your phone. That's all you need to know. Our mission is that we put good people into good jobs in the fastest, easiest, and the most enjoyable way. It means like everything on a device or somewhere where you're around. That means you don't have to go to a computer, have to write the CV or whatever. You can do this all on Hockify. What I'm talking about today is NuxtJS in a Cordova container. I think probably all of you know already NuxtJS. NuxtJS is basically just a preset of configurations for Vue.js that makes it super easy to start with. And Cordova is a native application that allows a web view to render on the mobile phone. That means you can actually publish your app on an App Store or Google Play Store or whatever, and it feels and looks like it's a native app if you design it like this. Yeah, I tried to paint this a little bit. That means like you have your iOS or Android device. Within that, there's a Cordova app. You can, of course, configure that, add some plugins, access native layers, for example, camera or other sensor devices. And within that, you have your Nuxt.Vue app. Okay? And, well, I think the best way to show you that is by just doing it. And there are just two things you should have prepared. The first, you probably should have installed Node.js on your computer, of course. The second thing is you need Android Studio, or at least the emulator and the ADB and stuff. So the easiest way is just to install Android Studio. It's free, so not much effort. So what we're going to do today, we create our first Nuxt app and put it in a Cordova container afterwards. So what we're going to do is I use the Create Nuxt app CLI tool. I don't know if you know that, but yeah, it's pretty easy to use, and it just sets you up with a template that creates all the folders you need and just the default configuration. And it also lets you configure some things we will see like right now. Project name for the package.json file, whatever description. If you want to have a custom server framework, we don't need this right now because we're actually not using a server framework. You can set up some like linters, prettier and Axios, for example. So it's okay, we use that for now. And some custom UI framework. We're using Tailwind, so I just select Tailwind right now too. And well, we don't have tests. And we're creating a single page app. Yeah, and it's npm. Yeah, okay, fine. All right, while this is installing, okay, maybe we have to wait a little bit though. This Nuxt Create template is actually maintained by Nuxt, but it's not like on the latest feature stand. Nuxt is, or everything in JavaScript is developing very fast. So also the Nuxt Create app template thing, for example, doesn't support TypeScript right now, but you can actually just change it afterwards. And it also has some warnings in there when you start the application now for the first time. For example, I'll show you. So we created the directory, and I just run the development environment. And you see already here, please use build post.css instead and stuff like this. And we're actually going to do this quickly, so I think that's something you should know or should learn when you use Nuxt, how you can fix warnings like this. And I'm going to just open quickly the folder, Cordova Nuxt demo. Okay, so what we see now is, what we should see now, okay, we should see some folders here. You see, that's all of them created the Nuxt, Create Nuxt app template thing. So we have a lot of folders here already, and you just have, yeah, readmes and just placeholders in there. But we want to fix the first warning first. So what you do is we actually, it complains about this file. So what we're going to do is, I just can copy this. Instead of the external file, we use the Nuxt config.js file, and insert the configuration for post.css here. Within the build process property though. And copy these 2 lines over there. Let's do it this way. Yeah, so we load this through the NuxConfig.js file, and we're going to remove the post.css file. So that's it. So if we run the application again, we get an error. Okay. Maybe we should add. Okay. And now we see, hopefully, our app. Yeah, that's it. Cordova Nux demo. I'm not going into Nux any deeper or any design or stuff like this. We just deploy this now, or try to deploy this to a Cordova container. How are we going to do that? First, you have to know, actually, Nuxt isn't made for Cordova. What Cordova does is actually, there's no web server or something like this. You actually use the local file system of your phone to serve the file. So you have to use static generated files, of course, but there are also some things that you don't have relative paths, for example. Usually in the web, if you host a website, you have like your host slash whatever, your app. But on a static file system, if you access your files through file double point, whatever, semicolon, doesn't matter, slash, whatever, then relative paths act differently, or you actually don't really know how they really act. It depends on the system, on the iOS version, on the Android version, and whatever, or in the browser that's actually used inside it. So what we have to do is we have to fix, kinda, Nuxt to handle these things correctly. And we're going to do this by creating a plugin. There's already a plugin directory. And we create one new file we call Cordova client.js. And the content of it does 2 things. First, it listens for on-device ready or the device ready event. Cordova sends a device ready event when it's done. The second thing is it patches the Vue redirect route. This is necessary if you use redirect. It's a parameter or a function you can call so that the redirect doesn't change to the root URL or something like this, so you have to patch it. I don't want to explain more detail, but yeah. Second thing is we have to load the plugin, of course. That means we add in the NuxConfig.js plugins. We add the, just go a bit. We add this plugin. Okay? So first step done. Second thing is Cordova inserts a Cordova.js file that also sends the event and stuff and initialize some native plugins if you add them. So basically what we just have to do is we add on our head tag, also in the NuxJS file, NuxConfig file, we add script load Cordova.js. That's kind of black magic because you don't know where this file is coming from, but Cordova provides it for you. And the second thing is that's actually something you need to know or you will learn by heart. When you use Android with Cordova, you can't load files that have an underscore in it. I'm not quite sure why, but it is like this. And by default, when we look into our demo app, we should maybe lint it first. Or not. Cordova client. Why I don't have any lint? Okay. We see, if we look into the network console right now, you see it's loaded, Nuxt loads its assets from underscore Nuxt. Usually shouldn't be a problem, but for Android it is, so you have to switch the asset path. How we can do that? Also pretty easy actually. If I find my presentation again. Usually, actually for this part, we just have to set the public path inside the build property to something else. To make it complete though, because I just prefer that Nux can always, or you can always switch to different rendering paths, for example SSR instead of single page application or stuff like this. I also add a server middleware. That means I'll show you the directory immediately. A server middleware, new file, and call it whatever, assets.js, okay. And what this basically does is just it serves the compiled or the built client files through /nuxt files. Okay? So if we reload now, we should see that it's not _nuxt anymore, it's nuxt files. So all good. And the third thing we have to fix or have to change is the router mode. There are two modes. The regular one is set to, I don't know the name actually, but when you switch to a page, you have a route like this and a new page, whatever. And the hash mode is actually, you always stay on the same page and then inserts just a hash and the path behind it. So you can imagine on a Cordova container where you just have a file system, you can't really route to anything else, sorry. And yeah, therefore we just switched to the mode, and that's also pretty easy. In Nux, we just said router mode hash. Easy. Easy step if you know it. If you don't know it, you just check out my documentation. And so we added in there too. So all good now. We see our app still running, hopefully. Okay, so that's all we have to do to get ready for Cordova. We see already it already tries to load the Cordova.js file. On the web, it's not available, of course. This one is just because I have a service worker running on this localhost port. Just can ignore that. Okay, so now we're actually ready for Cordova. How we can start Cordova? Actually, also pretty easy. We just switch back to our directory, run the command Cordova create Cordova. The second parameter is actually the directory, and we call the app demo app. Easy. So we have directory Cordova now, and there we add the platform Android. That's all we have to do. Second thing is we need to run an emulator, because if I run it on my phone, actually I would recommend if you develop, use your phone. It's way easier. The emulator just sometimes hangs or it doesn't really work and you don't really know why. So what I do, I start the emulator, or actually it should be up already. It's up already, yeah. And just try if our plain Cordova project runs. And hopefully it does. Okay, it doesn't look good. That's exactly the issue I was talking about. When this happens, I have to reset the emulator through the Android Studio. I'll just quickly show you, and then maybe if you run in the same issue, you can just figure it out quicker. Come on. Okay. Sorry, it wasn't planned. Close. Tools. There's the EVD manager, and you can wipe data. Yes, I'm gonna do that. Let's just start it again. Now you see it starts like it's a new Android device, it boots up and stuff like this. Shouldn't take so long though. Hopefully. Hello. It's super slow. Usually it's faster. Don't know. Come on. Okay, it starts our app right now. You can see it. Yeah. You see, this is just the plain Cordova container. We didn't put any content in there yet, so it's an app. You can see it actually there. You can close it or whatever. It's native. And if we have our demo app here. Yeah, let's just start it again. Okay. So Okay, cool. We have our Cordova container, we have our Nux app. Now we should combine that. And how we can achieve that? I already told you that Nux is actually not really ready for a file system thing, but we can overcome with it. And I actually created a build script for that. It basically does, and ensures that Nux is built in a SPA mode, in a single page application mode. It replaces all the relative paths. For example, if you have /nux files that would access the root directory, it replaces it with just Nux files. It does that for almost everything. Then it builds the Nux project, of course. It copies the dist folder where the build process actually outputs the data to the www directory of Cordova and starts the Cordova container. So I'll just quickly show you that script here.
Yeah, just a quick question, because you mentioned relative path.
Yeah.
You translate absolute path to relative path.
Yes.
And not the other way around.
Exactly. I'm starting the app with the root path of it. It's like the index HTML. And from there, every path is actually relative from it. So that's the reason why I also set the mode to hash. Otherwise, it would kind of...
Then it should be replace absolute path to relative path.
Yeah, right. That's maybe... yeah, sorry. That's correct. And okay, so this is the thing what we do there. We build the SPA application, we replace the relative path, we run copy Cordova and run Android. There are these scripts behind that. Nux built with the SPA option. Actually, we set that mode already in the Nux config, so it's not really necessary. We replace some stuff there, we copy it over, and we run Android. So let's see if this works out. So we copy the package JSON to our project. Then we switch directory. Install means the replace. We use the npm package called replace here. And afterwards, we actually execute this command that executes all the other commands. And hopefully this thing will work. Why it's so slow again? Yeah, super slow. Hello. Come on.
You're okay on that,
So, oh, right, finally it installed it. Okay, so now it runs all the commands. It builds the application. It replaced the relative path. We will see that hopefully in the next step. It's really, really slow right now. Usually this builds way faster. I don't know. Super strong. Yeah. Super exciting. Come on. Here. Okay, finally generated it. That's the output of the replace command. So it replaces some Cordova or the absolute path to the relative path. And now it runs the Cordova build. And it starts our app. Whoa, it was even quick. And we should see our website or the Nux container. It's nothing in it. It doesn't look like a mobile phone right now, but it works. And all right, so we're up and running. So what other things that you can check out is, for example, make it way more look like a native thing. There's Nux7, for example, available. It's like more mobile-like. You can check that out, or check out push notifications, other things. What I want to show you quickly is how you just use native plugins, because that's the main reason why you actually use Cordova, besides the App Store and stuff like this. And I prepared just the custom URL scheme. So you have deep links in your app. For example, if some app links to your app, or if you started from a website or something like this. And how you can do that is like you switch back to the Cordova directory, enter Cordova plugin, add the plugin. There are a lot of plugins out there already ready to use. Edit it, all right. Then we, that's actually part of the setup process that's described in this Git repo, that you have to include this launch my app file. We're gonna do this quickly to you too. Okay, no, almost. Then we check, yeah, I think that should be fine, I did the last time at least. And then we add the initialization code for this plugin in our Cordova client plugin. And that's the code for that. You can also find actually on the GitHub page, or at least part of it, wrong. So what we do when the device is ready, we call the on-device ready function. Then we try to init the status bar, is just an example. And we try to init our custom URL scheme. That basically just registers the handle, what should actually happen when a deep link is called. And I just make an alert box right now, so you should see a dialog with the URL that I sent to the app. And yeah, so what we do, we rebuild the process. npm run Cordova again. Hopefully this time it's a bit faster. Yeah, actually, looks better. All right, it starts the app again with our new source code, hopefully. And we see, yeah, it's still up and running. And we added this alert box, so with the ADB shell, I can send commands to my app. In this way, this time I sent the link my cool app, that's the namespace we defined for the custom URL scheme, and yeah, my cool apps test. So we have a dialog, and my cool app test worked out. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to show you a simple demo of a plugin, or how you can access the native library through a plugin within Cordova and Nuxt. That's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a little bit, especially the tricky parts. I think that's really useful if you do, or if you try it by your own. These are basically the 2 slides I presented how to do the plugin, to override the redirect thing, and the 3 steps to make it runnable on Android. And yeah, and by the way, we're also looking for front-end Vue developers. I also put the presentation up to GitHub, and on the last slide you can find some links to some useful plugins where you can play around or just test it. All right, I hope you enjoyed it.